What's up, everybody, and welcome to The Horror Within Me, a podcast dedicated to the world of horror. I am your host, Eric, and each week I'm going to rate and review a new movie or TV show that falls within the horror genre. Now, this is a show for horror fans, hosted by a horror fan, who's just here to share my opinions and experiences with my fellow horror friends in hopes that you may gain something new to watch or not watch, and really just talk about all things related to this beautifully dark and spooky world that we call horror. So if this sounds like a show for you, stick around, we're going to have a lot of fun. So let's get started. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Horror Within Me. I'm your host, Eric, and this is a podcast where we do movie reviews, where I do movie reviews. Anyway, welcome back to another spooky Sunday. I'm very excited to be here. I've been waiting for the day to do this episode, and it's just so fucking strange because literally Fright Rags, which I'm not sponsored, but Fright Rags dropped their Killer Clowns from Outer Space, like, I forget how many years later. March has 30 years or something like that. Has dropped today, and that's so cool. I'm wearing my Killer Clowns from Outer Space shirt. You can kind of see if you're watching this show on YouTube. It says alien clowns with a killer sense of humor, and I think it's super cool. And I'm so excited about this fucking episode. I just recently watched this movie again with, of course, my husband Ryan and Jenny. Neither of them had seen it before, and instantly they fell in love with it as well. There's so much killer clown things going on. Spirit Halloween has a ton of fucking really cool shit from the movie. They have a 6-foot tall cotton candy cocoon that I really want, but I have no fucking room in this home that I don't know where I would put it. But there's a lot of other things that they have. 2 animatronics of the clown, 2 of the clowns. Just so much going on with killer clowns right now. There is a video game that's supposed to be coming out with no official release date, but there was a trailer and it looks dope as fuck. It reminds me, it's like sort of like the killer versus survivor kind of mindset that we see with like Jason and Dead by Daylight and Evil Dead and Texas Chainsaw, but just in its own way. I don't think any of those studios that created those games are involved with this game, but it still looks to be super fucking fun. Even if it's so ridiculous, it might just be even more fun than these other games because it is so ridiculous. So yeah, I can't wait to get into this episode. You can only imagine the reviews that I found for this one, because people we'll get into that soon. I can't wait to go through all of this. It's such a fun day to start, and it's carnival themed and clowns, and it's summery. And if you know, recently, if you can see behind me again, if you're watching on YouTube, I have my little popcorn machine back there because it's my favorite snack. And then my husband, I got him the Ninja Creamy, so we've been making like ice cream and ices and slushies. So, and then Jenny, when she visits, she has a cotton candy maker. So we are just like 30-something-year-olds fucking watching horror movies and horror comedies, making cotton candy, popcorn, and ices, and just living our best goddamn lives because that's what you do as an adult. You don't grow up, you just become older. If that makes sense, you know exactly what I mean. Not to say that we aren't responsible when we need to be and that we don't pay our bills. We do all that stuff, and then we get to let our inner child back out to have the rest of the fun for the rest of the day. So, that ends my rant on snacks, which reminds me, I think I talked about this before, but it's been a while, and I have some new listeners, so I'm curious. Speaking of snacks, like, what is your favorite movie theater snack? Again, obviously mine is just popcorn, and I really, really love pretzel bites with cheese. I never buy them, but I really like the little cookie dough, chocolate chip covered cookie dough bites or whatever the fuck they are. They're really good. I always get popcorn and pretzel bites though. That's just my go-to. And this is non-horror related, but if you're in the horror community, you've been seeing it anyway. And a lot of people are like coexisting together, which makes me really happy. But the Barbie movie is out, and I just went to see that with my husband. Amazing movie. I got the Barbie Corvette popcorn car. I love it because I collect popcorn buckets. And it was such a good movie. And I love that the horror community is like embracing it. And that even Fangoria changed like their F logo to like be pink in the Barbie font and has a shirt that is in the Barbie font and says Fangoria, which was limited time. I didn't buy it. There's another shirt that I do want. I'm hoping my husband makes it for me. It's like a quote from the line when Barbie's dancing at the dance party and she's like super happy and she's like, "Do you guys ever think about dying?" And I relate to that on the deepest level possible. It's like I am that person. Like my brain is constantly, oh, death. Like that's just I need that shirt, and it would be great if he does gets it made for me before Monster Mania, which is next weekend in Cherry Hill, weekend of the fourth, fifth, and sixth. I cannot wait. I'm gonna have my photo op with Tyler Main, who played Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. He's also Sabretooth in the X-Men movie. I'm very excited to meet him, even for the quick in-costume photo op. That's so exciting. There's also a Trick or Treat Studios contest with that they're doing where somebody's going to win all three of those masks. So I'm really hoping that I win because I'm collecting them, and all I have right now is 1978, the Halloween 2, 1981 one, and Halloween Kills. So I need like 11 more masks. So getting 3 for free as winning in a contest would be super cool. If not, I'll buy them though. I love them. They sell them on Trick or Treat Studios, obviously. Um, but yes, I'm very excited about that. Heather Langenkamp is the other guest that I'm very, very, very excited about. So at this point, I'm trying to plan what do I want to wear to Monster Mania. So like if I have that shirt, that's what I would wear. But maybe I'm going to wear my Nightmare on Elm Street hat that I'm not wearing right now. And I do have these Nightmare on Elm Street Vans that my friend got me a couple years ago, and I've never worn them, but I've seen other people at the ManiaCon wear them. And so I'm like, this would be the perfect opportunity. Like, yes, it's weird to have that on, and not that weird to have it on in the picture with Tyler, but it would be amazing to have it with Heather Langenkamp because, like, I have my pictures with Danielle Harris, and in that I have my Halloween thing on, my hat, and then my picture with Rose McGowan. I have my Scream gear on, so it would be kind of really cool. Maybe I think I'm thinking leaning towards wearing the Nightmare on Elm Street merch for meeting Heather Langenkamp because aside like Halloween is my all-time favorite, and right under that is a Nightmare on Elm Street. Like obsessed with it. I just love it. But that's it for my news right now. Before we get started into the episode and getting into all the information on it, I'm going to change it up a little bit because I've been always weird about the placement of where I put terrifying trivia. So I think that I'm going to ask the terrifier trivia question in the beginning of the episode and then answer it before I give the final review. It just makes it makes a little bit more sense to me. So with that being said, it is time for this week's terrifying trivia question. This week's terrifying trivia question is, instead of bullets, what do the clowns' guns shoot? That's a mouthful. Question again is, instead of bullets, what do the clowns' guns shoot? Stick around to the end of the episode to find out. All right, so let's jump into the IMDb information on Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So the synopsis is, aliens who look like clowns come from outer space and terrorize a small town. That that is a creepy synopsis in my opinion. I like, can you imagine aliens that look like clowns, and you could like, if you've never seen what they look like, it just like you're not sure what their interpretation is, but it's not, it can never imagine to what it actually is. It's so fucking well done. Killer Clowns from Outer Space stars Grant Kramer as Mike, Suzanne Snyder as Debbie, John Allen Nelson as Dave, John Vernon as Curtis, Michael Siegel as Rich, and Peter Lacassi as Paul. It was released on May 27th of 1988, directed by Stephen Chiodo, produced by Charles, Edward, and Stephen Chiodo, written by Charles and Stephen Chiodo. So if you haven't gotten this far yet, it is written and produced and directed by the Chiodo brothers, which this was their only film they ever made. And it was a great one, in my opinion. There is a rating of PG-13, a runtime of 1 hour and 28 minutes, and the genre falls as comedy, horror, sci-fi, with a tagline that is simply, "It's crazy!" And it is like 3 A's and an exclamation point on that tagline, just for context. So that's our basic information on Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Not very long, just under an hour and a half, which for this movie works out fine because you can't drag this out, because if it would have drawn out even another 15, 20 minutes, could have really lost us, even though you would love to see more of the clowns. I think an hour and 28 minutes is a perfect amount of time for this movie. It's a perfect movie to watch that with a group of people on a Saturday or a Friday night and still have things to do after or have time to talk about it. It's nothing that's too long. The genre is perfect. Comedy, horror, sci-fi. It hits all three of those marks. And the tagline is as real as it's going to get. Like, it's crazy is an understatement to what Killer Clowns from Outer Space is. I I can't believe people haven't seen this movie still to this day. It brings me joy to meet people like Jenny and Ryan who have not ever experienced Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and to be able to witness them seeing it for the first time and hearing their commentary. I just fucking love it, and having conversations about it. An instant, thing to bond over too. It's one of those movies that you can just really bond over with people that are your friends and family that are into things like that too. It's a new thing to add into the circle to talk about. So the IMDb rating for Killer Clowns of Outer Space is a 6.2 out of 10, and it has a Rotten Tomato rating for a tomato meter at 76% and an audience score of 60%, which seems really low to me yet again. Speaking of ratings and reviews and all that fun stuff, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I didn't know what Letterboxd was, and a social app where you can go and create like reviews and ratings and everything. So I now have one. I have no followers. I have no friends. I'm still figuring it out, but I'm adding things to my list. And I think that what I'm going to start doing is the day after these episodes drop, I'm going to go in to whatever movie that I'm rating, add my rating and review on there as well, just as a fun thing to do. So if you're moving forward as of this episode for Killer Clowns will be the first one that I do this for Monday morning or Monday afternoon, I will go in and put my rating and review for this as well. So I don't want to put it up there before on the day that it airs. But uh, if you have a letterbox, follow me and teach me your ways. But this is all the on paper stuff that they have to give us about the movie. But what do other people think about Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Have you ever thought to yourself, like, I wonder if other people like this movie? Do they like this movie more than me? Do they hate this movie? How bad do they hate it? If you want to know, I guess it's time then in our show to do the top 3 best and worst reviews of Killer Clowns from Outer Space on IMDb. Coming in with the top 3 first. First one is titled Those Who Don't Like Killer Clowns from Outer Space Are Just Clowns. And it has a little clown face, and that's pretty cool that they did that. I didn't maybe it was an emoji. It was 2022 when this was written. Here we go. Great low budget movie. When you watch it, you should not take it serious. It's not a masterpiece. You don't like fun if you don't like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's so entertaining and cool. It's some pretty good acting for a movie like this. It's pretty hard to act really good in a B horror comedy because the script isn't really that amazing. But overall, a really good movie, and I recommend watching this with friends. And then it ends with a knife emoji and another clown face emoji. Um, and they give it a 10 out of 10, but I feel like they gave some digs at it too. Like, it's pretty hard to act in a B horror comedy. I guess it could be pretty hard to act. I mean, you can only do as good as the material you're given. Um, it is a great low budget horror movie, but I don't feel like, I think they pulled off some great fucking effects for this time in this movie. I think that the costumes were amazing. The killer clowns looked so fucking creepy and cool at the same time. I think it did a really good job. If it's considered a low budget movie, I think it's a higher end low budget movie for what they were able to pull off for the time that they were in. Second review is called A Classic. This was written in 2005. It says, forget what you think of when you hear the movie's name. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is really great. It has some funny parts, but I consider it a great straight up horror 80s style. If it was just some guys dressed like Bozo and Ronald McDonald, then the title would tell you everything you need to know. But the Chiodo brothers are master creature creators, and the clowns reflect that. They're huge, evil, and ugly alien creatures with the basic features of clowns. Their technology has a definite circus theme, but that doesn't make it any less deadly. Suzanne Snyder was also in Night of the Creeps and Return of the Living Dead 2, If you like those great movies, you'll love Killer Clowns. Give it a look. They're the creepiest, most evil looking clowns you'll see anywhere. Okay. So they are pretty creepy looking, and I don't know if they're the most evil looking clowns you'll see anywhere. I feel like Pennywise, Art the Clown. There's a lot of really fucking creepy clowns, and I don't know if Killer Clowns from Outer Space are the creepiest. I mean, they are pretty creepy and evil, but I wouldn't go as far as you'll see anywhere. Definitely agree that the Chioda brothers are master creature creators because like they came up with this huge concept. They did not just have people dressed like Pennywise or Art the Clown. Nothing is taking away from Art and Pennywise at all. But the fact that these are clowns from outer space and they wanted to like do something different with them, it wasn't just men in makeup or women in makeup. It was a whole like creation, which I really appreciate it. And they are so unique. Like you see one, you know what they're from. Love them. Um, they are huge, evil, ugly creatures. I think that's it for this review that I can really think of. I think again, straight up 80s horror style. Absolutely. Absolutely. Moving on to the last best review for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's titled I Am a Changed Person. Here we go. This was written in 2021. Okay, look, this movie honestly was not that good. But my God, I want to be a little funny clown with my little funny pants and my little funny clown shoes. The sheer amount of facial expression the clowns had was amazing. I want to be able to do that with my face. When the little funny clown walked into the little funny pharmacy, I want to do that. I want to be a little funny clown, and this movie made me realize that. Look, I wrote this review a week ago, and I lied, not only to you, but also to myself. I, I rated it 7 out of 10. This is the best movie I have ever seen, and I will remain to be one of my favorite films forever. Thank you. Like this person came back and continued their edit of the review and rated it 10 out of 10. I know we usually have the most fun with the worst reviews, but this has got to be one of my favorite top review of a movie I've ever read so far on this show. It is I don't think like it's almost like you would think that they're being sarcastic and that they don't like the movie, but they actually rated it a 10 out of 10. And then it makes you beg the question like what is going on here? Is this person now a clown? Are they walking around into pharmacies with little clown shoes? Like I am glad that they have found their purpose in life from this movie because horror movies do that. Horror movies allow you to discover the deepest desires inside of you. And this one happens to be that you want to be a little funny clown. Congratulations to you. It's been a few years at this point since this was written. So if you are a listener, somehow this gets to you. Are you a little funny clown? And are you walking around in little funny shoes? Please send pictures to the Facebook of the Horror Within Me or Twitter of Horror Within Me and at Horror Within Me, little funny clown shoes. And that concludes the top 3 best reviews of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Let's move on to the top 3 worst reviews on IMDb of Killer Clowns of Outer Space. First review is titled An Absolute Dreadful Excuse for Comedy. This was written in 2006. Lame-o. I think this bomb was supposed to be a comedy, but that assumes laughter would be involved. And you know what they say when you assume. Bottom line, not funny, not even mildly amusing. It is, however, stupid, but isn't a total loss. I mean, after this experience, I now have a new appreciation for the root canal. Honestly, if you're 3 years old and under, I suppose you may find something funny in this thing, but I doubt it. Of course, if you're 3 years old, the clowns may be a bit too scary for you. So, really, that leaves nobody who should find this bore fest funny. If you're really that bored, paint something and watch the paint dry. You get just as many laughs out of it. Save yourself. Just avoid this turkey at all costs. My God. It's hard to read this. I'm going to explain to you guys. So I don't change the way things are written when they're written because it's just, I like to read it as is. There's so many fucking red lines under these words that it's like trying to read what the fuck they're saying. There's non-capital letters, there's punctuation errors, there's misspellings, and it's always mostly in the bad reviews. And I'm sorry, it's just terrible. This is terrible. Okay, the dig as watching paint dry. Who? How old are you? Are you a boomer? I haven't heard that in a really long time. It's really not. And lame-o. What the fuck? Lame-o. I know I'm calling people this week. Whenever my husband does something that doesn't like I ask him for and he says no or something that like ruins the fun, I'm gonna be like, lame-o. I'm gonna go watch paint dry instead. He doesn't listen to the show, so he's not gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about. He's just gonna get annoyed with me as always. Um, this person also definitely was thinking out loud as I typed, like, if you're 3 years old, but honestly, if you're 3 years old, maybe you won't like it. Maybe you find it scary. But either way, terrible review. Moving on to the next review, titled "Boo" with like a old school smiley face with like the two lines and a parenthesis. Written in 2000. That's why it has that, because we didn't really have emojis in 2000. Here we go. I stumbled onto this movie quite by accident, and it will forever remain burned into my memory as one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. I borrowed a tape that had Total Recall off TV on it, and right after it was this. I watched out of curiosity. Why, oh, why didn't I stop myself? The plot, which mostly elicits laughter from friends I described to it, is very strange and not at all good. Actually, pretty much everything about the movie is summed up in that phrase: very strange and not at all good. Beware, dot, dot, dot. My fucking God, I laughed so hard. I actually talked about this because me and Ryan went to Jenny's house over the weekend, and I, not over the weekend, it was the fucking other day. What the hell? I can't keep track. It was Wednesday. Anyway, I had to bring this up because this is what is so fun to me, is to think about, is that you borrowed a tape with Total Recall that somebody recorded off of television, and that this movie was on it right after. So it's like so back in the day, you used to get blank VHS tapes that would record like 4 hours of movie or whatever the fuck television you had. Like you hit VCR, you hit record on the channel, and it would record whatever's on the TV. I know, barbaric. Anyway, so this person obviously their friend, or I doesn't say their friend, whoever they borrowed it from, clearly liked to Killer Clowns from Outer Space because they recorded it as well, or they fell asleep and it just kept recording. The point is, you wanted to watch Total Recall, and then you did not set yourself up to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So you finish Total Recall, and then you see this new movie coming on, and you're like, I guess I watch this. There's no fucking. I cannot. I honestly understand why you didn't like this movie, because you had not sought this movie out. You had no idea what you were getting into. You didn't know the premise. You didn't know that it was supposed to be a comedy. You didn't know anything about it. And that's why you put what you put. I guarantee if you would have known more, either you wouldn't have watched it or you might have enjoyed it a little more. But what the fuck? You just watched a random movie that was on a tape after? Did you learn nothing from The Ring? Was The Ring not out yet? I don't think The Ring was out yet. But never do that. Never, ever, ever do that again. Moving on to the final worst review for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, titled Send This Film Back to Space. Here's a review. Written in 1998. We're going back to 1998. Ready? A strong contender for the worst movie ever made. The only scary thing about this movie is why it isn't ranked in the bottom 10 movies of IMDb at present time. This movie is neither funny nor campy, and the people responsible for this piece of gutter sludge must have been the same who used to eat their glue in elementary school and turn their eyelids inside out just to gross everyone out. You can't even make fun of this movie. It's just too stupid, if that's possible. If I could go back in time, I would destroy the formula for plastic so that tapes of this movie would no longer exist. Avoid this movie at all cost. We were so dramatic. People were so dramatic. 1998. I think I was 12 years old in 1998. Oh, the 90s. So much fun. So nostalgic. And at this point, 1998, it seems about 10 years that this film has been released at that point. Um, this is what bothers me. Here we go. I want to use the word gutter sludge. I've never heard it, and I'm disappointed. Nobody's ever said gutter sludge to me. And why did nobody use gutter sludge anymore? I feel like that's something that should have carried on with the generations. I'm gonna pass this on casually to my younger niece and nephew to see if they can catch it back on. Gutter sludge. Piece of gutter sludge. I'm gonna say it later. I can't wait. After I'm done recording, I'm just gonna call them and be like, what was this piece of gutter sludge you were saying? I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Anyway, used to eat their glue in elementary school and turn their eyelids inside out. Okay, first of all, fucking PTSD. I hated that. Oh my god, the goddamn. I don't know if kids in school are still doing this or what, but they did that in school. They were like flip it inside out, and it's so gross, and I hated it. Like eye things freak me out. I knew about kids sniffing glue and stuff. I didn't know kids ate glue. I don't know what school you went to, but like I used to put the glue on my hands and like peel it off, things like that. I never ate glue or sniffed glue, but I've heard of the phrase sniffing glue. And then here we go. Here we go. Here we go with the most dramatic part. You're going to go back and destroy the formula for plastic. Plastic. Just so this movie would no longer exist. And I want to know where you're at today. Because that wouldn't stop anything. Because it's fucking digital. What would you do? Like, how mad can you imagine? I went back and I destroyed plastic. Now the whole world is different because plastic is in almost every fucking thing. Fucking plastic. You change the world for the worst possible thing. Like I don't know what we have that everything's got to be made out of fucking metal, heavy as hell. I don't know. But then there's still streaming, and you've gotten everything back. You've returned to the future. Now it's 2023. You've gone back and you've got rid of plastic, and you put on Netflix, and boom, Killer Clowns from Outer Space end movie with you just screaming in horror as you sit in your metal chair, see your fucking Killer Clowns on your television. I think that's the best way to end that. And that concludes this week's top, best, and worst reviews on IMDb for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So let's see. What did Eric think about it? Oh, that's so weird. I tried doing like a third person thing. It's so weird when people talk in third person, isn't it? So fucking weird. Anyway, what I liked most about Killer Clowns from Outer Space were the clowns. Honestly, they are so creepy and funny. I loved their sound effects. I love their facial expressions. I love their everything about them. They were amazing. I fucking loved them. They're creepy, especially like the one that was outside of the pizza place with the finger luring the little girl outside. He did not look like a normal clown, so I don't know why that little fucking girl was going outside anyway. And it took a really long time for her mom to fucking grab her. And then when she does grab her, she's almost out the door with a clown with his hand behind his back going like this. And she didn't see that. She didn't see that. She deserved to get her head bopped. Bopped. Okay. What I liked the least about Killer Clowns from Outer Space, this is a rare occurrence in my show. I really couldn't think of anything. Like, I know that there's stupidity in it, but like it was appreciated stupidity. Like I wrote things and took it off, wrote things and took it off. I really couldn't think of anything I didn't like. I just I loved everything about it. It's just I just did. So, with that being said, my God, I lost my train of thought looking at like pulling a Mitch McConnell here, staring off. God bless. Hopefully, health comes first. I'm not like making fun of him or anything, but it's what happened. Anyway, um, how many kills were in Killer Clowns from Outer Space? So it's time to reveal the number of kills. And the number of kills from Killer Clowns of Outer Space were 40, according to the intranet. So that has to be true. But several sources that I didn't mark yet again say 40 kills with the clowns included. Spoiler alert. So it is time to answer this week's terrifying trivia question. Just throw my hand up. So the terrifying trivia question was, instead of bullets, what do the clowns' guns shoot? If you said popcorn, you'd be correct. They shot popcorn out of their guns. And I fucking thought that was hilarious. But also, the popcorn turned into little other clowns with long necks that were like trying to eat the girl when they were popping out of the shower because they connected to her. I thought that was great. And I just wanted to talk also about the cotton candy cocoons with the crazy straw, and they would drink the blood out of them, and how they put the girls in balloons, but the guys in cotton candy. What were they saving the girls for? So many fucking questions unanswered, but that's okay. Great fucking movie. So now it is time to do my final rating and review. So for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I give it a 10 out of 10 cotton candies. I don't do that lightly. I don't do that often, but Killer Clowns from Outer Space deserves a 10 out of 10 rating. It hit all of the marks it was supposed to do. It was categorized as a horror, a comedy, and a sci-fi, and it executed all three of those perfectly. The acting was fun. The clowns were creepy, and the goddamn Sheriff Mooney part where he used him as a ventriloquist dummy actually sent chills down my spine and scared me, and still does to this day. So it still had that aspect of horror in it. Just a fun fucking movie. It is never a disappointment. It is literally a movie that you could watch every year and just have a ton of fun with it. So here's my final review. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The title alone should set the scene for this carnival ride of a movie. It does what it came to do. Horror, comedy, and sci-fi. This is that rare 80s horror comedy that has got all the ingredients right to make the perfect movie to watch for generations to come. If you are looking for something completely ridiculous, but somehow still amazing, watch this movie. It might just knock your block off. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is streaming now on Tubi. And if you know the knock your block off, extra points to you. But that's it for this week's episode, everybody. Stay safe, stay spooky, and don't forget to rate and review. Bye. Thanks again for joining me on another episode of The Horror Within Me. Please rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening in from, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get notified when new episodes drop. I'm also on all major social channels, so be sure to check out my website, www.thehorrorwithinme.com, for all those links. And until next time, my friends, stay spooky.